What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Today we actually have a video regarding the top 5 defensive playbooks here in Madden 21, and I want to go pretty much off the same format that we did with my video regarding offensive playbooks, and we're going to discuss some honorable mention playbooks, and then we're also going to go in and discuss my top 5 defensive playbooks. So to start off, I personally believe that one of the top 5, one of the best honorable mention playbooks here in the game is actually Pittsburgh's playbook. If you run a 3-4 defense, Pittsburgh's defensive playbook works really well. Their defense has worked really well as a 3-4 defense in Madden for a long time because of the fact that they have some really good blitzes in there and they have some unique plays. Now, with that being said, I only consider them an honorable mention, and there are a few other defenses in here that are worthwhile considering as well. One of my other honorable mentions is going to be Houston. Houston also runs a 3-4 defensive playbook, and Houston is probably a pretty good defense to model your team around. Like I said, if you're trying to run a 3-4 defense, Houston is one of the ones that is absolutely worthwhile to take a look at. So I highly recommend that you guys take a look at them. Tennessee, another one on the back end here of all the teams that is an honorable mention. And there are going to be a lot of 3-4 teams in there as well, but one of the other better ones is going to be Minnesota's as well. So I want to mention them as an honorable mention playbook. Certainly give these teams a try. Give their defenses a try and see if you like anything that's going on with them. I like Minnesota's quite a bit because their 4-3 and their big nickel formations are very effective in my personal opinion, especially if you have personnel similar to what they run. You can have a pretty successful defense with what they have going on there. Now, one of the playbooks that I would consider to be one of the top playbooks is actually San Francisco's playbook, and that's no surprise because San Francisco has such a good defense in real life, so this is going to be number 5 on the list. I like San Francisco's a lot if you're going to run a 4-3 system, and the reason that I like San Francisco's a lot is because they also incorporate a favorite formation of mine, which is the 5-2. I love running the 5-2, and having that flexibility to incorporate extra defensive line is really useful because, you know, if you're a 49ers player, for example, you know, you have so many good defensive ends to choose from. It's hard to get players like D Ford on the field whenever you have Armstead and Bosa in front of them as traditional defensive ends, so you can incorporate extra defensive linemen into a 5-2 formation and help to get more pressure that way. So that's why San Francisco is on this list. Another playbook that is absolutely going to be on this list and is always on this list is going to be New England's playbook. Surprise, surprise. The reason that New England's playbook is on here is because they have both the 3-4 and the 4-3, and not only that, they're a good defense, and they combine a lot of good plays out of these formations. So they have some of the better plays in the 3-4, the 4-3. They also have the dime and the nickel. They're a very good defensive playbook and a very flexible defensive playbook, so one that you should certainly take a look at. So that's number 4 on the list, and I absolutely recommend this one. The next one on this list is actually going to be the Buffalo playbook, and I love Buffalo's playbook quite a bit. What a surprise that a lot of the top defenses in the leagues are the ones that are running these defensive playbooks. So from a 4-3 perspective, Buffalo is one of the better playbooks on here. I absolutely recommend you guys check out Buffalo's playbook. They have a good mixture of 4-3 plays, good blitzes, and different things to incorporate into your defense. This one is obviously 4-3 heavy, and they used to have the 5-2 in this formation, so I like this playbook a little bit more. They don't currently have the 5-2 in this, even though the Buffalo Bills do run a 5-2, which I find to be a little bit odd, and so that is why I recommend that you guys check out the playbooks that I mentioned before, because they do incorporate some of those formations. Now, the number 2 playbook here on defense, I'm going to have to say, is actually going to go to let me scroll to them. Dallas. Dallas has one of the best playbooks, defensive playbooks in the game as a 4-3 defensive playbook. So we have a good combination here of 4-3 playbooks and 3-4 playbooks. 4-3, Dallas has to be the top 4-3 defensive playbook. Now, another one that's an honorable mention that I think is absolutely worth checking out is the Atlanta Falcons. They have a very similar playbook, and they produce very similar results to the Dallas Cowboys playbook, but highly recommend the Dallas Cowboys playbook. They have a pretty solid defense in real life. They're missing a few pieces, but it's kind of reflected in the game. They have a lot of really good 4-3 formations in there. there. A lot of good plays out of those formations. In addition to that, they also have the dime, the dollar, and the nickel. So it is a bit of a flexible defense there with the different varying formations that they have. So I highly recommend that you guys check out Dallas's defense as well. The last playbook in my top 5, it might be a surprise to you guys that I actually like more than Pittsburgh's playbook, being that I'm a Pittsburgh fan and I'm a 3-4 defense lover, is the Baltimore Ravens playbook. The Baltimore Ravens playbook, in my opinion, is one of the best playbooks in Madden. One thing to note with the Baltimore Ravens playbook is if you are a simulation type player where you actually don't play the games, the Baltimore Ravens playbook is fantastic for 3-4 defensive users, for 3-4 defensive teams, I should say, because it plays really well. You don't have to have the best personnel for it to work out. They have a lot of good coverages, a lot of good blitzes in there. You will generate pressure. You will force the quarterback to make bad reads just based off of the plays alone. And, add in good personnel to this defense and you have a recipe for success. If you haven't given Baltimore's defense a try yet, I highly recommend that you guys give it a shot as a 3-4 defense. Now, I know a lot of people out there like to run 4-3s, but I am preferable to a 3-4 because I feel like I can get more pressure out of it, personally speaking, and I can stop the run better out of a 3-4. So I highly recommend that you guys give Baltimore's defense a try here. And those are my top 5 defenses. You guys are going to be looking at a combination of playbooks that have 4-3, 3-4, and that 5-2 formation. Now, one thing that I will note is I didn't pick any playbooks specifically based around that have a significant number of 4-4 or 4-6 formations, because I personally don't feel like they're as needed this year in Madden, because they've kind of turned up the defensive line animations and they're able to get off blocks a little bit easier and help you in the run game a little bit easier. So it's a little bit better, in my opinion, to stop the run. So you don't need some of those super heavy formations in your playbook to actually stop the run. And in past years, you didn't really need to either, but it became a little bit more of a requirement with how run heavy the meta had been. So with that being said, you don't really have to focus on those heavy formations in a playbook on whether it's going to make or break your defense. Personally speaking, most of the time you'll be able to, stop the run utilizing just your base 4-3 or 3-4 formations, and then a lot of the time you're going to be mixing in dime, nickel, dollar, quarter, pass coverage type of sets to supplement your defense. So hopefully this helps you guys out in some way. Like I said, I wanted to do this in a bit of a similar format to what I did with the offensive playbooks one. Generally speaking, defensive playbooks wise for users, not going to make too much of a difference one way or another. You're not going to get a huge advantage having one playbook versus another, because straight up speaking, you can get pressure using any of them. You can stop the run using any of them. There's not too much of a difference. There's not a playbook that has like one OP play and another playbook doesn't. Most of them have the same core set of plays, especially when you get into like the nickel sets and things like that. A lot of these playbooks have the exact same plays. But with that being said, defensive playbooks are extremely different for simulation style football. A lot of these playbooks that I mentioned here are good for simulation football, wherever you're actually playing broadcast style and just watching the games, not actually playing it, CPU versus CPU. If you're playing that type of football, then yes, you're also going to want to check out these playbooks, because I mentioned playbooks that are specifically good for that type of football. They're going to have formations, coverages, and schemes and game plans that are going to be effective at stopping CPUs. So highly recommend that you guys give these a try. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video if it does help you out in some way. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and comment down below with what you guys would like to see next. With all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a good night. Peace.